If you're creating a brand from the scratch, what are the important things which a brand should remember? Foundation goals.
So whenever you start a business, it's that first sale that you are
Yeah.
actually looking for.
Yeah.
And often a misconception is made. You just think about telling your friends and family because your friends and family will come and book and all of that.
Yes.
But when you tell friends and family, the first 2 months you will have sales and it will make you think that you have great numbers.
Yeah.
And suddenly friends and family stop booking, stop buying your product. And suddenly your graph just goes down to zero or next to nothing, right?
I have seen, the sales force becoming a face for the client. Right?
Yeah.
They are the connection to the client.
Whenever I meet a tour manager, I ask them this question: you completed this tour, so now what is your country and state count? Now, because we keep talking like this within the organization, the tour managers and the sales team also ask our travelers, who we call guests, that how many countries have you been to? How many states have you been to?
I always believe, and I keep on telling, that any information which you can give it to the client,
Yeah.
which is not available in the Google,
Yeah.
you've won over there. What do you think that one message you want to give it to this community? Hello everyone and welcome to the Travelpreneur World. Today's episode is very special because for the first time we have moved out of our studio and have come to Mumbai to have a podcast with Neil. Neil he's the second generation travelpreneur, I would say, and he's been someone who has himself branded as a podcaster, and he does a lot of influential thing in social media. It would be a very interesting session with him, and I would love to tell you that a lot of questions will be asked which will help you as a travelpreneur who's going to enter in the travel industry. So I can't wait to introduce him. So Neil, welcome to Travelpreneur World. So lovely to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to do this podcast with you, Soundar.
Thank you. So just to give you an idea, this Travelpreneur World is something we are making it for the travel entrepreneurs who wants to come into the travel or who are there in the travel and want some guidance from the industry leaders.
Awesome.
Yeah?
I think when I first got your message,
Yeah.
I was quite excited because our journey of the last 11 years, we know of it, but I feel like anything that I can share with budding entrepreneurs or someone who's just starting up, I would love to. So let's do this.
Superb. So I'll jump on to first question, which will probably inspire the travelpreneurs also, because post COVID, it's become that it's very easy to start something. But
Yes.
to sustain and kind of scale is challenging.
Yeah.
And you've been someone who's mastered in this of scaling. So if you want to just give some insights.
So I would say thank you for saying that we've mastered scaling, but I often like to say that today Veena World is doing about 1 lakh travelers a year. We have a team of 750 people.
Okay.
But given the size of India, I don't think we have scaled yet, and we really want to scale. So coming to your question, you're right that especially in the travel industry, what do you need to start a travel company? You need a laptop and an internet connection, and that's it. You can get going.
True.
But taking that and sustaining it and ensuring that you're able to scale becomes quite important. So I would not pinpoint one particular thing that really helps doing that. When we started in 2013, we started with 35 people. And at that time, we had this thought in our heads. And one of us said to the other that, when we are launching Veena World, we have to launch it as a big company. We can't launch it as just one ad and it's done, right? And then and now, we have maintained that ethos that, अगर कुछ भी करोगे, sustain करना है. And whether it's doing ads, doing marketing efforts, even the podcasts that we also do, we started in COVID and they have sustained themselves. And that's what we believe in, because to start something, anyone can do that. But if you're able to sustain it, right, you will grow, but at the same time, it will teach you a lot. So we've often seen that.
True.
Yeah.
And personally, your journey, personal journey has also been very inspiring, right? Because I want to know, how did you enter into this travel? Of course, there's a family business.
Yeah.
But personally, how did you start the journey, and what made you think that, yes, I can be a person who will excel in travel business?
Well, if I'm to be honest with you, if you look at our family, my granddad was in travel, my parents are in travel.
Yeah.
now I am in travel. But back in 2013, I had just completed my graduation and come back to India. But I had come back to India where there was this lean period of 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
And I was looking for a job in investment banking in Singapore.
You're a
or
finance guy. You
Yeah,
were a finance guy.
yeah, like I had studied finance,
Okay.
and like when you think about it, I was like, okay, let's go to Singapore or Hong Kong. So the plan was never to come into travel.
Okay.
But I guess destiny was such that our family
Yeah.
business went through a split, and we decided to set up Veena World in 2013. Now, back then, I had two options: either go out and work in a corporate job, or try to experience something that will help you set up a company from scratch. And that is experience that people actually long for, right? And here I had it on a platter. And today when I think about it, probably the best decision I made. So accidentally into the travel industry, but now when I think about it, I just love it. Yeah.
Because as you said that, because your family was into travel and you started almost from the scratch. As I have mentioned before also, that when you're, even if it is a brand, it's a brand made of from the scratch.
Yeah.
So what do you think are the important factors for a brand to develop? Because 1 lakh customers is not a joke, right?
Yeah.
And it started from the scratch, like a
Yeah.
people reference is something which you guys believe in.
Yeah.
So if you can just tell me that if you're creating a brand from the scratch, what are the important things which a brand should remember? Foundation goals.
I think when we started in 2013, one of the best things that we had was the 35 people who
Yeah.
set it up,
Yeah.
right? And as we went along with it, people kept coming on board. So whenever you start a business, it's that first sale that you are
Yeah.
actually looking for.
Yeah.
And often a misconception is made that, you just think about telling your friends and family because your friends and family will come and book and all of that.
Yes.
But I often like listening to podcasts, right? And I had heard one of the founders of an FMCG brand talk on a podcast saying that, when you tell friends and family, the first 2 months you will have sales and it will make you think that you have great numbers.
Yeah.
And suddenly friends and family stop booking, stop buying your product. And suddenly your graph just goes down to
Yeah.
zero or next to nothing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when we went about setting it up, our aim was not that friends and family will buy our products. Rather, we should establish that trust in the market.
Yeah.
We should establish that credibility in the market that, Veena World is a company that you should trust to do a holiday. So that's how we have always worked. And I still remember in 2013, it was the 18th of June, the first booking happened at our Kandivli office. All of us celebrated it.
Okay.
After that, the 50th booking happened, we celebrated it. The
Yeah.
500th booking, we celebrated it. And then when the first tour actually went, it was something that stressed all of us. And then now, today, when I look at it, as we speak, there'll be more than 100 tours on road right now.
Yeah.
But all of those firsts we still remember. And those first ones are quite difficult to do, I agree. But like, you setting up this podcast, right?
Yeah.
The first episode is always the difficult one.
True.
But once the ball gets rolling, you have to do it and you can't really do anything.
It
So
becomes your
yeah.
kind of routine.
Exactly. Yeah,
And
yeah.
ye dil mange more.
And you want to do it. So
Yeah, yeah,
today,
want to
this
do
is what, like, when we look at all those photos that our tour managers upload on their app or the feedback that we get from our guests,
Yeah.
we realize that people are celebrating life when they travel. And when they travel with Veena World, we try to uphold those service standards. And that is what fuels us. And every day you get out of bed and you want to ensure that the next tour,
Yeah.
the next guest comes back happier than what they were before.
So when you say milestones, like first 50, first 100 passengers, so you set your goal that okay, let's do this and let's crack it, right?
Yeah.
But then I also realized that the goal setting always kind of links with the market demand also, right? Suddenly, maybe there is a demand of a destination where you have set a goal, but you know that you can exceed it.
Yeah.
So what do you think can be the strategy within the team also when you pass on that in spite of achieving the goal setting, how do you exceed the kind of, kind of goal setting. You've set a goal setting
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you want to exceed that
Yeah.
because you know that the market is in the demand. How do you do that?
So, our industry, right? Like,
Yeah.
market trends shift like crazy.
Like this.
Suddenly, a Bollywood movie will be shot in a destination. Let's take the example of Zindagi Na Milegi
Oh, you
Dobara,
asked
right?
me.
And it changed fortunes for Spain. If you look at Dil Chahta Hai, it was shot at a fort in Goa, right?
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
scenes.
3 Idiots
And
for
suddenly,
Ladakh.
and 3 Idiots for Ladakh. Suddenly, Pangong Lake became incredibly popular. I guess it's important in our industry that we be dynamic. We set goals for ourselves, but we also should be able to adapt to changes. So after the pandemic, we saw Vietnam suddenly pop up, right? So a lot in our industry has got to do with the supply of airline seats, right? And suddenly, if you'll have a new airline coming into a destination, demand is going to increase.
Yeah.
So when it comes to goal setting, it's not only me, but the team at Veena World thinks about it that one, what is achievable, and if you set the goal of what is achievable, the fire in the belly doesn't really exist,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So we will anyways achieve what is achievable, but how do we set a slightly bigger goal, a
Yeah.
bigger goal where not only the core team, but everyone within the organization, the sales team, the sales partners, everyone will try to push themselves. So when it comes to the strategic goal setting, it's more try to overachieve, but at the same time, don't be unrealistic. And we have always done that. And sometimes you may not achieve those goals that you
Yeah.
set, right?
Yeah.
But you will be content with the main thing that it is these goals that really help you propel further, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, we have seen that everywhere in everything that we do, that, set goals, but be okay to change them as we go along.
And I have also seen a kind of a, I would say a reverse psychology, because in every company,
Yeah.
okay, the salespersons or your face, people come and book there. But in your setup, I have seen the tour managers playing a very important role.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a live example where last of day of the tours,
Yeah.
the next tour is already on the mind of the customer.
Yeah.
That is infused by your on-ground army,
Yeah.
right? So how do you prepare them?
So I would say that, I write a newsletter every week, and I often like to ask my readers a question. How many states of India have you visited? How many countries have you visited? When I meet the tour managers, whether it is at the office or anywhere, right? I ask them that, okay, you completed this tour. How many countries are you done with now, right?
So Neil, I have seen the sales force becoming a face for the client, right?
Yeah.
They are the connection to the client. But with your team, I have seen the reverse, because the on-ground army, the two managers,
Yeah.
are already in the mind of the customer that where's next. So how do you handle that?
So, I love asking this question to anyone I meet, right? How many countries have you been to? How many states of India have you really been to? I ask this question in the articles that I sometimes write in the newspaper or in the newsletter that I have. And similarly, whenever I meet a tour manager, I ask them this question, and you completed this tour. So now what is your country and state count at? Now, because we keep talking like this within the organization, the tour managers and the sales team also ask our travelers, who we call guests, that how many countries have you been to? How many states have you been to? Because if you think about it, COVID taught us all, right, that traveling really helps you bust all of that stress that is there and everything. So today, people want to travel, but people want to be pointed in the right direction. So if you are to really think about it, I think someone who's completed 10 countries will want to do 25.
Yeah.
25 say 50, 50 say 75, right?
Yeah.
So people ask the tour managers, or people think of the tour managers as opinion leaders,
Yes, yes.
right? And whenever the tour managers are not on tour, they actually are in this very learning center where we are sitting,
Okay.
learning and also educating each other.
So the information is feeded.
Exactly. And we have built a nice information system within Veena World,
Yeah.
where they are able to get information about any place that they are going to and build stories that they can tell the guests. Because anyone could tell you that, okay, Soundar, we are going to the Universal Studios in Singapore today. Go in, come
Yeah.
back here at 5 o'clock, and I'll be waiting here.
True.
But what if you went with them? You made that an experience that they will cherish with their loved ones throughout their life. That is what travel is really about. And we call it a celebration of life. So
Yeah.
that's what the tour managers do. That's what our sales team also does. And I think that kind of makes it work for Veena World.
I always believe, and I keep on telling, that any information which you can give it to the client,
Yeah.
which is not available in the Google,
Yeah.
you've won over them.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
most of the time, the technology-based questions, which customer already knows,
Yeah.
because your customer is traveling to any country of Europe also, they have done a R&D more than you, I think,
Yeah,
because
of
they're going to
course.
travel. So your information which is not available, if it is grown, that's a differentiator. Now coming back to the destination also, same destination, many tour companies, heavy competition.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate on the services given to that destination?
I think a great question, because the Eiffel Tower, whether you go with Veena World or any other company, is the Eiffel Tower,
Eiffel
right?
Tower,
Like
yeah.
it's not different at all.
Yeah.
Which is why we call it the guest journey, or as in technological terms, they call it UX or user experience, right? So we believe the guest journey starts when you really come in contact with Veena World for the first time. That's through an ad, or you might see a podcast or a blog or something like that. And every time you connect with Veena World through something or the other, that's where we have to start giving you the experience. Price is a differentiating factor, definitely.
For sure.
But I guess price is not the only differentiating factor. It's the service that our sales team provides. It's the service that our tour managers are able to provide. It's the back end, that is the 20 departments at our corporate office out here, that really play a role in ensuring that the puzzle really fits.
Yeah.
Now, if one of them does not do their task right, the puzzle is going to be incomplete, and an incomplete puzzle means that you have not got 100% satisfaction.
True.
And if you really think about Veena World, what is our product? Our main product is escorted group tours,
Yes.
which means I'm booking your flight, multiple hotels, multiple restaurants, multiple sightseeings, multiple transfers all together.
Yeah.
Now, you have done many holidays in your life.
Yeah.
I've done many holidays in your life. You know, a flight can be delayed. There can be a puncture for your car. There can be a fact that you're a vegetarian and you might find something in your food that at a restaurant anywhere in the world, and that can go wrong. You might go to a sightseeing place and realize that, oh, it's full for the day and you can't enter.
Yeah.
Anything can go wrong.
True.
And anything goes wrong on every holiday.
True.
But when that stuff goes wrong, when Veena World is there for you,
Yeah.
that's what I guess is a key differentiator.
Yeah.
That's where our tour managers come in. That's where our back-end processes come in. That's where our sales team comes in. And I would not say that we are perfect, right? But every single day we set milestones for ourselves. And we want to achieve them one step at a time. So every day we are elevating the experience that someone gets from a Veena World a little more. And in that, I would not say we look at any competition, but we just think of simple expectations that someone may have when they would invest their hard-earned money into Veena World.
True. And also I want to kind of ask you that technology nowadays is playing a very important role, like
Yeah.
ChatGPT to begin with.
Yeah.
How do you infuse, or have you been infusing the technology in your existing servicing to the customers?
Yeah. So if you look at ChatGPT or AI in general, right? Artificial intelligence is an added layer to improve your productivity.
True.
It's definitely going to change the world in many ways.
Yeah.
Now, 90% of the AI that we are looking at integrating is internal to Veena World. How can we provide better service, right? Will it replace a tour manager? Will it replace a sales agent? If you ask someone else, they might say yes.
Yeah.
But if you ask me, I would say that we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Our sales team members, our tour managers are the face of Veena World. And the human element brings emotion to a conversation that you're having.
True.
So wherever we are implementing AI at Veena World, more so it's internal.
Okay.
More so that I should be able to provide you with better service.
Okay.
And another thing is we want to achieve process power in the operational bit of it. When you're doing thousands of travelers every single day,
Yeah.
we want to be able to predict what could go wrong. And if something like that has gone wrong before, we want to come up with solutions on the fly. So artificial intelligence or technology is being implemented more out there than just creating gimmicky things on our website, where if someone were to come and search for a 4-day itinerary to Rome,
Yeah.
they would get it anywhere on the
Anywhere.
internet, right?
Yeah.
And you said that people can Google, people are more informed today. So
Yeah.
we believe that if you strengthen your processes,
Yeah.
the scale that you talked about in
Yeah.
your first question can be achieved, because you're doing the same thing, replicating a model that you have perfected again and again and again. Yeah.
So you feel that the human intervention is much needed, but of
Yes.
course the AI can be used for the scalability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also you, I mean, I have been noticing that you have a very, very strong CRM, right?
Yeah.
Because you know the exact predict the customer needs when he walks into any of your stores. Also, if he has traveled before, you have information what kind of needs he would like or dislike, and your salespeople on ground or at the store can predict. So how do you think that the CRM or the customer information helps you to scale the business?
I think a major part out here is sharing of information
Yeah.
amongst everyone at Veena World. Today, if you think about the offline touch points that Veena World has, 150 plus across India.
Okay.
Now, someone may be walking into a Veena World office in Kolhapur
Okay.
and may have a very interesting want.
Okay.
Like, I want to go to Europe, but I want to do only these 3 countries and
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
So, over the last few years, we have managed to build this information system where anything that happens at any office, it keeps changing.
Okay.
I mean, that information keeps coming and distributed amongst all of the other offices.
Okay.
And when something like that is happening, everyone is informed. So that if an interesting want was at the Kolhapur office, someone coming at the Pune office will also probably know about it.
Yeah.
And, it's much easier for them to handle that query.
Correct.
Now, we achieve this through regular meetings. And I guess COVID again has taught us that it's very easy to meet now,
Yeah,
right? So
true.
that's how we achieve it. And it's something that, we try to do more often than not, and we'll suddenly have 200 people on a call, and those 200 people will be exchanging ideas. So it's more through these exchange of ideas than just the CRM. The CRM is a support function, but more so it's these exchange of ideas that really helps us propel forward and suggest the right product to the right traveler.
And also the social media is playing a very important role nowadays.
Yeah.
And you've been building your social media presence as well. And destinations people opt for a destination seeing a reel.
Yeah.
Like, a person doing a mud bath at a Baku.
Yeah.
People decide, let's go there.
Yeah.
So how do you think you're leveraging that or you want to kind of leverage that opportunity?
So, when I look back at the 11 years, right, my perceptions personally also have changed so much.
Acha.
Back then, we always used to chase likes, followers,
Yes.
and only that,
Yes.
right? And the chatter around the industry would be that, this brand or this travel brand hired this influencer, and suddenly their post has got these many likes and all of that, right? But I guess when I look at it today, right, it's not about the likes. You may create content and your content may be seen by 200 people, let's assume.
Yeah.
Now, if out of those 200 people, you're able to generate like 20 inquiries or leads, right?
Yeah.
That is better than 2 lakh people seeing it and no one even contacting you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I believe we are not in the age of chasing likes now. It's more about you creating good content.
Yeah.
And if it is honestly good, right, people will watch it.
Correct.
People will listen to your podcast.
Correct.
People will like seeing your reels. So the content ecosystem at Veena World that we started building in 2021, right, has grown. The team has grown. We have a proper production team now at Veena World. But the whole idea is not about likes, right? Like sometimes you may have only 10 listeners to a podcast episode. That's fine. But I circle back to a very important point you made at the start.
Yeah.
sustainability.
Yeah.
If you sustain anything that you're doing, right, you will reap the rewards of it
True.
in the future. And I like listening to this one podcast called The Seen and the Unseen by Amit Verma.
Okay.
And in one of his episodes, he really mentioned the Malcolm Gladwell principle.
Yeah.
That if you really want to perfect something, you have to do that 10,000 times. So he's like, if you really are thinking that you'll do 3 podcasts and you'll probably get your likes and all of that, that's not going to happen. You have to sustain it for a long, long period of time. And that's the ethos that we work with. And I think that's the ethos that I try to get my team also to work with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So in terms of travelers also, right, the characteristic of Indian travelers is also changing, like,
Yeah.
because people are traveling with maybe a 3 generation, like mother, father, and mother, the daughter and all.
Yeah.
So Indian travelers' mindset is also changing. How do you want to service that? Like, because do you have, because I know that the group tours are something which you're mastered at, but there's a market which probably want to have a different characteristic, and people have started taking a lot of holidays in terms of they take a weekend getaways, they take an Indian holiday, and then they go for a big holiday, holiday with friends. So a lot of about 10 years it was not there.
Correct.
Rightly you said that post COVID people have realized the importance of traveling, that make memories. So how do you think that you are kind of, what strategy do you think that should be?
So, if you think about India, and at the start I said that if we are doing 1 lakh travelers a year, we are just scraping the surface, right? Because India is not one country. India is multiple countries.
True.
You might like going on a holiday just for the food. I might like going on a holiday for shopping. People want to go on a holiday to tick off countries. People want to go on a holiday just for the history. Now, if you want to be the jack of all trades, it's going to be very difficult.
True.
So we often believe, set small milestones for yourselves, tick them off, move forward, tick them off, move forward. So if you think about it, Veena World does nothing in spiritual tourism.
Okay.
We don't do anything in medical tourism or dental tourism, which is a huge market, right? But we don't do that because we know that although there is a market for it, we can't get distracted. And we really don't like being distracted. So we like looking at a goal and we like pursuing ourselves towards it. And whenever we have had missteps in terms of our strategy, it has always been because we have gotten distracted trying to do something else. Now, when you are focused and you're staying away from distractions, you'll achieve a lot more than being distracted. And we have done many things in the past where we have felt that, okay, this seems like a fun thing to do. Let's do it. Like, say, for example, we tried getting into golf tourism or sport tourism and nothing happened of it, right? So, but we were like, okay, there are specialists and it is my friends who run companies in sport tourism. And I think they are specialists. So we actually work with them rather than creating our own brand for it.
But you guys are someone who started this trend of women travelers, senior citizen travelers and all, right? So that specialist tours are something you kind of
super popular
with. Because people, I think the demand and supply is kind of mismatched because people want to go and your departures are fulfilled easily. And I also feel that on ground also those senior citizens are taken care like babies, right? Because the need of the small things like giving rooms to ground, in the ground floor, or the tour manager acting like their own grandson or something. So is there anything especially you train the tour managers on? How do you handle the specialist tours?
So any tour manager is trained to cater to a 7-year-old also and a 70-year-old also. And whether it's the senior citizen tours or women tours, you have to be aware of who you're traveling with and what their travel history with Veena World is. And then you realize the personality of a particular traveler. So I would not say we handhold everyone, but rather whenever a guest needs us, whether it's here or on tour, we should be there. And every tour manager of the 350 tour managers we have their own style of conducting a tour. And it's not like you have to be humorous only. That day 2 you have to have this joke.
There's no SOP.
There is no SOP for that because SOPs are for our back-end processes. But when it's the tour managers, we have a tour manager promise, 30 points in there.
Okay.
That this is your promise. It's like a pledge that we take, right, as tour managers. But more so that is because this is what is expected of a Veena World tour manager. You tick these boxes in whichever way you want, you will ensure that people will celebrate life, right?
Okay.
And because whether it's me, whether it's Sunila, whether it's Mrs. Veena Patil, all of us are out there, so you know where to contact me, right?
Correct.
So whenever this tour manager promise is not upheld or maintained, we get an email in our inbox. And when we are so approachable to our guests, I think that's one of the best things, because they know that we are going to get this cow out of the ditch that they find themselves in. And that's a principle we follow. We call it the cow principle at Veena World.
Okay.
Where solve that problem and ensure that we solve it then and there itself, because no point just blaming anyone, right? So that's how we have been working.
मतलब मेरे ख्याल से मछली देने से अच्छा मछली पकड़ना आप सिखा रहे हैं कि so that on ground the kind of SOPs are not kind of micromanaged is not done, but still the job is getting done by the two managers.
Yeah, exactly, because you can't set a process for emotional celebration, right?
True.
That comes naturally, and it's an art.
Yeah.
Every tour manager, they do it the way they think is right. But at the same time, like I said, when they are not on tour, they are here exchanging ideas with each other, right? So that really helps the Veena World DNA to keep moving further every single time.
And since you say that you've crossed about 1 lakh customers and many milestones to go, do you think that community building within the customers also is very important? Because your reference of traveled customers are huge. Like, you know, anybody who travels with you recommend, you know, and I think the second, third generations also traveling with you, right? So how do you kind of maintain that community?
So today, the Veena World community is more than 7 lakh travelers who have traveled with us over the last 11 years. Now, you are right that community building is super important, which is why all of us play a huge role, whether it is through the podcast that we do, whether it's through the newsletters that we write, whether it's through the ads that we do in newspapers. People often like to come to a Veena World office and celebrate their birthday. Right? So, like, you know, the branch in charge or the sales partner will cut a cake.
Okay.
There is one of our sales partners in Panvel who likes to do a chai pe charcha with their loyal guests every Saturday, and they send out an invite and 4 or 5 people often come. There is our sales partner in Sangli who often just likes to have one-on-one conversations with guests who have traveled, just sharing experiences. So community is built in different ways. There are micro communities at every branch and sales partner level. There's the larger community that the tour manager creates through a WhatsApp group. There is the even larger community of people living in a particular city. There's an even larger community that probably looks at our podcast and gets the newsletter. So the end goal is that you may be exposed to the Veena World ecosystem in one way or the other, right? But we want to continuously keep telling you that, you know, where are you traveling to next? What is next on your bucket list? Have you decided where you want to travel? Set those travel goals. So that's how we often kind of work.
And see, to be very honest, as you said also, whatever you plan, there are pitfalls, right? Because there is something which may go wrong. So what do you think should be a plan a travelpreneur should keep in mind as a plan B, or as something come prepared for the crisis which may come? So what do you think that, you know, something that they should keep it in mind?
So, Soundar, if you really think about what are the pitfalls or what should someone be aware of, I would say be ready for failure, right? Because if you think everything's going to be smooth sailing, it's not going to be smooth sailing. Like, anything can go wrong, yaar. And up until 2019, we never knew that COVID is going to come. But I think what COVID really did for us was it helped us build a thick skin. Right? Today, when I go onto TripAdvisor, go onto any other platform, and I see a bad review, earlier you would panic, right? Now, I don't panic, because when you panic, you take bad decisions. So the panic thing has gone.
Okay.
And when you're in a B2C business, and I would like to say this to anyone who's starting a B2C business, not only in travel, you will put a LinkedIn post and the people commenting will be unhappy customers.
Yeah.
And sometimes things can go wrong, right? Like people comment about anything. You have to always remember that if you have a good experience, people are going to write to you. They are not going to put it on Facebook or social media. But if you have a bad experience, they are not going to write to you. It's going to go on social media,
Such as,
right?
true.
And sometimes things can go wrong. But as we practice at Veena World, when something goes wrong, if you are with your guest or if you're with your customer, that will help build a long-term relationship. And that has kind of helped us also, yeah. Like, if it was just us saying that, oh, like, okay, galti ho gayi, let's come back to this later, you would not be able to build a long-term relationship. But today, if you think about it, people have traveled to like 50 countries with Veena World. People have done 25 trips over the last many years. So that's how it has been. So be prepared for failure. Learn from the failure, because when you learn from your failures, that's when you start taking.
Always look to win over the client.
Exactly.
Maybe you fail, maybe you succeed.
Yeah, just be there for your travelers.
Take that
is what I
accountability.
would say. Yeah.
Correct. Superb. So, Neil, that's a segment which we have started called Rapid Fire.
Oh, interesting.
So, I'm going to ask some questions and you will need to quickly answer that, right?
Okay. No reason to be given.
No reason. You can just mention whatever it is. If you think that the reason would be interesting, you can surely
Sounds
go on,
good.
right?
Yeah.
So, I'll start with the first one. That what's your top recommended destination for adventure seekers in 2025?
I mean, if I'm to be honest, I would say two destinations.
Okay.
One is Uttarakhand, because you can do a lot of treks there. You can do a lot of rafting there. And the second one I would say is New Zealand, because you can probably do anything.
So, one domestic, one international.
Yeah, exactly. I think I have to be diplomatic like that, make everyone happy. Right?
And you seems to be a romantic guy, right? So I'm just going to ask
I don't know about that.
So if someone is looking for a romantic getaway, which location would you suggest?
I would say if you are looking at a romantic getaway, whether it's your honeymoon or otherwise, try to set yourself a rule that pick a destination that you will definitely not go to again. And that's what my wife Heta and I did for our honeymoon.
Okay.
And we went to Seychelles because we thought, when will we go to Seychelles next?
Yeah.
So if someone has to pick a destination, I would say Seychelles is one great destination. You should definitely check it out.
But this point is very superb. Anything which you
Yeah,
can't do it with your
exactly.
do it. Very nice. So if you're looking at the pre-bookings, according to you, which destination is currently trending among Indian travelers for 2025 and why?
I would like to say an offbeat destination now, because everyone knows about the most popular destinations and all of that.
True.
But something that is trending is Georgia.
Oh, okay.
People have just started finding about it.
Yeah.
And more people are going there. I also went there 2 months ago.
Okay.
And I think it's a beautiful destination. You should definitely check it out.
Okay. And what is the best food destination you visited recently?
Man, hands down, Japan.
Okay.
I've been there 8 times.
Oh.
And whenever I go to Japan, it's like food paradise.
Okay.
Yeah,
for Indians also, I mean.
I would say Indians also, for vegetarians also.
Is it?
People often think that you don't get vegetarian food in Japan.
Yeah.
I think you get the best vegetarian food in Japan. You just have to go looking for it.
Superb. And what's your pick for a budget-friendly travel destinations in 2025? Domestic or international?
International, I would say Vietnam.
Okay.
I did 15 days across Vietnam a few years ago.
Okay.
Budget friendly, I will say value for money.
Okay.
Definitely something you should check out. And when it comes to within India, I think people should look at the Northeast, the Seven Sisters of India, or the Seven Sisters of Incredible India, as I call it.
Okay.
Beautiful, very raw, not many tourists out there.
Okay.
And it's like you get bang for your buck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Superb. So I'll come back to one question which I feel that will kind of, you're doing it also. I realize it because you've been a market leader for Maharashtra, right? And you're expanding. And you're expanding to be a pan-India leader as well.
Yeah.
So what's your expansion plan? How do you want to kind of, grow this into a more state in the coming days?
So It was only last week that we opened our new offices in Kolkata and Hyderabad.
Okay.
Now we are planning on expanding into Gujarat, West Bengal, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, more and more. We feel that it's not like when you are offline, you're not online.
Yeah.
We have a hybrid model. And that hybrid model is that if you feel like going to a Veena World office to really see the face who you're really giving your money to,
Yeah.
you can certainly go to.
Okay.
And we also feel that today we are talking about quick commerce. We are talking about people not wanting to get out of their house even for batteries for their remote control, right? That time, the closer you get to people, the better. So today, in a city like Pune, we have about 20 odd touch points, right? We expect that to happen in Ahmedabad. We expect that to happen in Bangalore. And as we go about it, it's not going to be rapid expansion left, right, and center. It's calculated moves.
Yeah.
It's moves where we think that there is a market that exists.
Okay.
And then reaching the end traveler
Yeah.
in a much better way. And that is accompanied by our marketing ecosystem that backs it. And slowly and steadily, we will expand our footprint across India.
Okay.
And I often like to say that we are headquartered in Maharashtra.
Okay.
But if you look at in our boardroom, there is a thing which says Lakshya. And it says कि हमको बनानी है भारत की सबसे बेहतरीन travel company.
True.
So to get to that बेहतरीन, we are headquartered in Maharashtra. We are spreading our footprint across India,
Okay.
outside of India also.
Okay.
So yeah, like one step at a time, but one step at a time we'll get closer to our Lakshya is what we
Very
think
true,
about
very
it.
true. So wonderful to listen to you, and I'm sure our Travelpreneur community also would love to kind of listen to the entire podcast which has come now. Any one message you want to give it to people who want to enter into this travel industry, because the Gen Z or millennials is still wanting to learn more about travel, right? For them, because I was asking a question as a keynote speaker to the students, that how many wants to enter into the travel industry because they'll get to travel. They were 90%.
Yeah, exactly.
So still we need to kind of technically inform which segment they can enter into. So what do you think that one message you want to give it to this community?
Before I get to that message,
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you for having me on the podcast.
Thank you.
Continue doing the great work that you're doing, because it helps get the message out there of different travel companies. So congratulations on getting the ball rolling with the podcast, and
Thank you.
like, it's amazing that you're doing this.
Thank you.
One message that I would leave people with is that, one thing that gets by in this industry is that you value service.
Yeah.
And if you value service and you use a little bit of your common sense, right, you will get very far in our industry.
True.
It is one of the most competitive industries. And one thing I like to do is that I go on Instagram and I click on all travel ads, which means that the algorithm is going to show me more and more ads. That gives me that harsh reality check that you're not fighting with 4 travel companies. You're fighting with 400 travel companies, right? So be ready for the competition. Be confident that your product is better than the competition. And only if you're confident and you value the service that you're giving the people, you will get very far in this industry.
Superb. Lovely talking to you, Neil.
Thank you so much.
This probably it's going to be one of the longest podcasts I have done, because the conversation was so
I'm glad.
interesting. Yeah.
I'm glad. Yeah, I loved it too.
Thank you.
Thank
once
you so
again.
much. Thank you,
so
guys.
Bye bye.
Hi guys, Soundar and his team are doing an excellent job with Travelpreneur World. So if you are interested in getting into the travel industry, if you are a veteran of the travel industry, or if you're just getting started, remember to subscribe to their channel, like it, and share it with your friends, because the insights that you will probably get here, you would probably not get anywhere else. So thank you very much.